welcome to the stage. It's the wonderful, he's about to sit down, but he should stay standing. It's JB Blanc. Come on, JB, keep it going, let's go. There he is. Keep it going. Whatever you like, my friend, whatever you like. Okay, now let's welcome, yes, it's Jason Spisak.
Yay!
Health and safety.
Kids,
Watch
don't drink in the mornings.
Yes. Watch yourself.
I swear it was just water. Yeah.
And finally, last but not least, the wonderful Reed Shannon. Here he is. There you go. Reed, there's a space here.
All right, yes, it is.
Yeah. I don't smell. You can sit next to me.
Cool. No.
No, he does. That's what you're going to
Oh, you guys, have you had a good weekend?
Other one.
Oh,
There we go.
there you go. Oh, wow. I like
Glad
the
I matched my
symmetry.
socks today.
Check that out.
Hello.
Guys, have you had a good weekend?
Yes, it's been lovely actually.
Yeah.
So many lovely fans. So
Great
many
time.
people in incredible cosplays that took the time because they love the show. It's just lovely, absolutely.
And it's such a beautiful show. It's absolutely wonderful. Like, I have not had time to catch up with it. And in the last couple of weeks, I've had to just go all the way through. I'm like, right, we're going to get to the end. And it's gorgeous. When you first saw the finished product, how did you guys feel as actors?
I haven't watched it, no spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, Jason and I first recorded on this, I think it's 8 years ago.
Wow.
Long time.
A long time
Wow,
ago. And it went
God.
through so many different iterations. And at the beginning, it was like we'd record a bit, and then we'd not hear anything for a year. And I'd call Jason, I'm like, hey, you know that thing?
Yeah, that show?
Are we still in it?
What show? Oh, that thing?
Yeah, are you still in it?
I haven't done anything.
Because I heard they changed out some cast
Yeah,
members.
yeah. Are you still on it?
I don't know. They haven't said anything.
I haven't worked on it.
Oh, I don't know what to do. Like, it's really on a phone. Like, does that work? No. Tried. But yeah, so you all of these things, you get a kind of gist from the animatics, you know, because when you're recording, they show you a kind of sketch version of the animation, and you're kind of looking at that, and you get a kind of idea of the concept. I just knew that there was something special going on. I didn't know how it would end up or what it would look like, but I knew it was something special. And then Jason turned up, and I realized it wasn't going to be that special.
Yeah, there's gonna be something.
Which was a shame.
I think the writing was also another clue.
Immediately.
Before I saw any of the artwork, the monologue from episode 3 was what they gave me to audition. And I could just tell from the quality of the writing, you know, do you ever wonder what it's like to drown? It's like, it's written so well. The characters were so clear in the writing that I thought, wow, this would be really quite something special. And I'm so glad it turned into what it did.
And coming just off the back of that, I know that, Reed, I was watching an interview where you said this character for you came at the right time and you really related. Could you explain what you meant by that?
Yeah, you know, I think I was probably 16 or 17 when I started recording, and you know, that's
Just a wee man.
a little man, for real. And I think, you know, like, that's a really important time for everybody in their life. And, you know, for me, it was a time of me trying to figure out, like, what kind of man I'm gonna be. And I had the opportunity to play this shining example of a character, even though he was the same age. You know, he stood up for his community, and, you know, and looked out for the people that he loved, and that was like everything that I could have wanted and everything that I still strive to be. And so, you know, during like the 2020 protests and stuff, I went out and I was protesting, leading protests and stuff, and I don't think that I could have done that had I not been able, like he was saying, like, the words and the writing is just so spectacular. You know, it filled me up in a different type of way. And, you know, it's amazing going everywhere and seeing that other people feel the same way about this character. You know, it's heartwarming. Yeah. And off of that question, like what I thought when I first saw it, I feel like I'm still in shock a little bit, because it's just a spectacle, truly, you know.
No, it's really, I mean, they're wonderfully, I was very surprised because I've just watched Arcane recently, how layered and how much depth there was. Again, wonderful writing. JB, what did you think? What jumped off the page to you when you read for this character? Like, did you feel the same way? And what were you connecting to as an actor?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm a single dad of a now just not teenage girl, so there was an easy connection there for me because as a dad, and just feeling so sorry for my kid because she had me as a dad. But
we're
like
all sorry for her.
Yeah, and she said now I've done so many projects where I play dads who kind of die, spoiler alert, that she's like, Dad, art imitating life, can we kind of like cut it off at the death point? I'm like, I didn't even know you cared, baby, thank you. The thing about this project is, I don't know if another one will ever be made quite like it ever again. It was a unique set of circumstances. You're kind of basing something in this incredible lore of League of Legends, and I had a connection with League of Legends before because I played Brom in League of Legends, and oh, thank you. That one guy, thank you so much. For you get a line. Stand behind Brom. No companies have had this much time and this much money to dedicate to a project like this. And to get a French animation company that was so damn clever, so brilliant, so dedicated to detail, every flinch, every flicker of an eye, everything is just so beautifully done. That's incredibly rare. So the project will always be special because I don't think we'll ever work on anything quite like it ever again. I think they'll probably go into other worlds and explore other worlds, and if they're listening, I'm available. I'd rather not die in episode 3 if that's okay, but you know.
I really might die too.
But yeah, the leadership qualities of Vander, the speech with Vi where he talks about leadership and how you kind of, you know, have people look up to you, and that's a huge responsibility. It was a big connection. And then there were just so many moments during the show, like, I mean, hearing the one take where Mia broke down as Powder, the weird thing about this show is all animation, they'll show you an animatic and you get a preview of your kind of lines and what you're going to do, and you kind of get an idea of the scene, and never, ever, ever have I reached the end of that animatic and realized that my face is wet with tears. And I'm looking at them going, you bastards, you can't do this. Think this is it to me. What are you going to do to the audience? And I think you probably all know what happened to the audience. Yeah, so it's a unique experience.
Jason, like, I'm interested about process, actually. Like, when I first came to LA, I did a bunch of acting classes out of interest. I thought it would make me a better interviewer to understand the process.
I know, exactly.
I know, and it didn't go, and I wasn't very good. It's all right, my love. And so I wonder about process, because for me as a complete amateur, when I was looking at words they were giving me, I was like, where do I go with that? What memory am I accessing? So for Silco, do you do the same for those characters and the character here?
There's a lot to the writing, and I think especially with this show, and you can't do this with every show, depends. And to JB's point, the level of production was so rigorous and so full of the best type of talent. I think they rewrote the pilot like 70 times, and that doesn't happen in this industry very often, where they just wanted to really make sure that the words on the page were all that needed to be there, nothing extra. And because they could rely on the art to do the rest of the work, there's plenty of time in this show when I say nothing, and Silco is telling you volumes. And that's not on me, that's on the gifted artists at Fortiche. But the words themselves, they are something you could fall into. It was like a trust fall as an actor to be able to fall into the words that they were giving you. You didn't need to try so hard. And Silco, of all the characters in the show, you know, was an exercise for me as an actor of really doing less. Just let the words be in those moments. And there is, when Silco comes on screen, you can kind of feel that. It's almost like a pace shift that, and that's due to the writing and the way that he has a rhythmic way of speaking as well. And it's there, it's in the words. So my process was really to try to get out of the way as much as I could.
I think that's one of the most amazing things about Silco, because it is less, you know. And as you were saying that, I was just thinking about it and thinking about what he went through in season 1, and I'm like, man, like a lot of the shots are us just looking at him contemplating. Yeah. You know, it's and true. I mean, like kudos to you for being able to, like, we can hear his thoughts.
Just shutting up.
No. Yes.
I'm always in favor of Jason shutting up.
No, but seriously, like you have to be a very, very skilled, you know, actor to be able to, when you are speaking, make it so lasting that when you're not, we're still drawn in, and even more, I think, because it's in animation. You know, it's amazing.
There's also a lot of explosive stuff going on in the show, and I think it needs those moments of calm, and therefore, like for Vander too, it was like just settle him, make him. You know, I've always have this theory. I direct a lot of games now, and I tell actors a lot that real power doesn't have to try very hard. And actually, real power is a crocodile sitting on the bank of a river, not moving a muscle, and just looking at you and going, 250 million years. What have you got? Not much. So that it's a composite of stuff, and you know, the animation is so vivid and so clear and so demonstrative and so emotional that you have to kind of back off as an actor and let it do the work for you.
And there's so many impactful moments in this show that are so full of very, very intense emotion, or like fight scenes that are, you know, graphic and visceral, and it does have this way of overloading you in certain moments. And so to give it that time for breath is super important for us as actors. So I think one of the luxuries that I got on this show that I haven't gotten on a lot of shows is just to take that time. Take the time with that moment. And so that was a gift, I think.
Also, just a couple of really wise, complete bastards behind this, who were like, you know, I was like, so how are you gonna, you know, how's Warwick gonna come in? First of all, the worst kept secret in the whole of show business. But it was like, they were like, you can't tell anyone. I'm like, they know. I'm not gonna say anything. But also, I was like, so how's it gonna come about? Well, how are you gonna use Warwick in the second season? And Christian's eyes just lit up, and he went, "We're going to break their hearts." Like, I'm in.
With his German accent, we are going to break their hearts.
A question that gets asked a lot, usually the fans ask this, I see it at panels time and time again, is, no, not how to become a voice actor. That's one that always gets asked. No, sometimes the fans will ask things like, did you get to collaborate with the director on the characters? But I wonder if the cast talk about their characters together and interact in that way and say, hey, I feel like your character for me is a little bit like this or that. Do you collaborate together or talk about your characters?
We never saw each other during the recording.
Okay.
We all recorded on our own. I never met Ella Purnell, Jinx. I never met her until the premiere.
I think you and I recorded together in the early sessions, didn't we? Did we not ever?
With you, no.
Wow. Yeah, that's another
I also
aspect
was
of the...
not invited to these early sessions.
Well, I think if you look at yourself, there's an obvious reason for that reason.
Yeah, thank you.
No, and they played Mia for me prior to that scene where I say, you know, hello little girl, where's your sister? And they played her crying, but that was the most interaction I got from any other. They would do some playback. Yeah. And it absolutely made me bawl, and I had needed a second before I began my lines because she's incredible. But.
Like, we've got JB's biggest fan down
I'm
here.
I'm loving this baby. It's just awesome. It's so cute.
This little one is...
Don't keep them quiet. It's perfectly right.
Yes, you're absolutely fine. Everyone's okay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all baby fans here.
You're cute.
Yeah, you've got to be very careful because it can cross over into other actors giving other actors notes, and I think your character in a show is very precious. It's very, very much your thing, and I think if you have a generosity of spirit as an actor, for me, acting is about the character I'm working with. It's the other actor that's most important because they give me all my emotional information. So a lot of it is just listening carefully to what they do and responding accordingly and letting them have the space for their work. And I think that should be informing enough. If you've done your homework on your character, then you can respond honestly when you hear their delivery. So, yeah.
I find it.
Yeah, go on.
On this show, other actors have always been quite complimentary of each other's work. I mean, I walked up to Harry, and I was like, your Victor is so amazing and so grounded, and just like, we have been complimentary in that case, but I wouldn't say that it's like talking about the characters.
No, and also I just think we also have just an awesome cast, a really nice bunch of people. No one apart from me, maybe.
They weeded out all the jokes except for you.
As that old saying is, when you're sitting at a table wondering who the asshole in the room is, it might be you.
JB, is it true that you gave up acting for a couple of years and went and did a normal job for a while?
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh, she came with it.
I did. Yeah.
I love this.
I was doing a lot of theatre in the UK, and I was working.
Yeah, JP. Yeah.
I'll tell the story. It's a good story. I was working at the National Theatre in London. I'd gone to a great drama school and was working theatre in London and then national tours and some international tours. And I was at the National, and I did a couple of productions with a very famous director who turned out to be a bit of a dick. And I was a bit disillusioned, and I wasn't making very much money. And a friend of mine had a web design company, and he said, "Why don't you come and work for me? I'll give you a salary and a car." And I, like a fool, I was 20 or something, and I went, "Yeah, sure." And so I walked away from the business for 2.5 years. And 2.5 years later, I had the salary, I had the car, and I wanted to stab myself in the eye with a fork. I was miserable. Wasn't for me. And I came home and I was sitting on my couch going, what have I done? I've given up my passion. I've given up the one thing I wanted to do, and I've lost all my contacts, and I've lost all my agents and everything. And the phone rang, and I picked it up. Hi, is JB there? Speaking. Hey, JB, it's Priscilla John. She's a casting director in London. She goes, are you still working? And I went, yeah, I am. Why? Hadn't worked in 2.5 years. She goes, I don't know, there's this movie, The Count of Monte Cristo, the director's coming into town. Do you want to meet him? I think there might be some stuff in there for you. And I went, yeah, no, I'd love to. Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you so much. It was it's a classic line. Just when I thought I was out, they dragged me back in. And I met Kevin Reynolds, and he was, in England, directors don't tell you whether you're a good actor or not, because it might make you arrogant. So Kevin, who's from Texas, was like, your stuff's really good, man. I want you in my movie. I was like, he said, I don't know where yet, but we're going to put you in my movie. And I was like, okay, well then great. And we shot that in Ireland and Malta. And then after that, he's like, I think you'd do better in Los Angeles. Why don't you come and stay with me for a while and see what you think and give it a shot? And so I came out to LA, stayed there for 10 days, thought sunshine, palm trees, a career, I'm in, I'll do it. And I sold what little I had and then moved here. And then my friend Victoria was playing a character called Sir Integra in an anime called Helsing. And she was like, they're looking for British voices. Do you want to go and meet them? And so I met this weirdo called Taliesin Jaffe, who's now, one of the queens of Critical Role. And that was my first ever gig, was Helsing, playing Enrico Maxwell.
I love that. Oh my God.
Yeah, and then games were kind of kicking off at the same. So literally that, it's a lesson. I did walk away from my dream, and it could have ended that dream forever. And I got just given that lifeline, and I told myself I was never gonna. I know. He never shuts up, does he?
Don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up. I can hear him saying it.
You listen to that, kid.
Yeah.
You just take care of it. You pay attention to that.
When you said that, Melody was like, that's just why. JB, how much do you think, and I'm going to open that out to Reed and Jason as well.
You don't have to. It's lovely to listen to him.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
because I often think that all of my friends that are doing these weird and wonderful jobs, similar stories where it's like you almost give up or you've given up and then something comes along or something changes your path to catapult you somewhere else. And I wonder, is that luck? Is that hope? Is it fate? Like, what do you guys think?
I think sometimes reaching your bottom, you've got to reach your bottom to know which way to go. The only other thing I'd say is that I've never learned anything from success. I've learned a hell of a lot from failure.
Yeah.
And I think we're all scared to fail. And I think you've got to be unafraid. If you're going to be an artist of any kind, you've got to be brave and you've got to be unafraid to fail, because that's when you learn who you are. That's when you learn about other people, you learn about your friends, you learn about your relationships. Failure is a good thing. Failure is a positive. It's how you get back up. It sounds like a cliche, but it's true.
But it's also how you learn to counteract fear. I think if you are afraid of a thing and you make it so big inside your mind that what if I do this thing, what will happen? and this list of imaginary consequences, that can be far worse because we have active imaginations. That can be far worse than reality. And so to convince yourself that you can do something, you have to almost not be able to do it. So don't be afraid to fall flat on your face, because then you realize, well, that hurt for a little while, but it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. A failure at something that you really love to do is just a sign that you wanted to do it because you tried.
Absolutely.
So try.
What about you? Yeah. You guys, this is like, I'm got a tear. We should have got a box of tissues for
I know, right?
We've got the
I'm
toilet.
feeling really emotional.
Toilet paper holder.
And then there's nothing inside them.
It's so cute.
You guys. But I think following your passions is so important. Whatever those passions may be, it could be being a great scientist or a doctor or a creative. It's so important. Reid, would you agree with that? I think your parents, I watched an interview where you said your parents really wanted you in school. They wanted you to stay in school.
Yeah. School's been like a really, I've had an interesting relationship with school because I grew up, my parents always told me, do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do. You know what I mean? And I still live by that. And I think my parents, they just really instilled in me this idea of being an independent thinker and an independent sort of human being, so that they set me up for, the best possible option, whatever it was that I wanted to do, and I'm so grateful for that. When I started my career playing Little Michael Jackson in Motown the Musical, and I toured with that. And that was like my first opportunity. And so then, because that went well, my parents were like, all right, we can like move to Los Angeles and try out this whole thing. But you have to, split your focus and make sure that you do well in school so that you are still learning things and still growing as a human, like this isn't your whole life. And so that was just amazing, because I got to understand the landscape of Los Angeles and understand more about this industry that, my passion was calling me to. And it was a lot of like mental ups and downs, because I wanted to be, Denzel Washington at 16, you know what I mean? And it was especially hard for me leaving a show like Motown, playing Michael Jackson and going out the stage door at the end, and everybody is praising me as if I am Michael Jackson, and then my voice starting to drop and starting to go on auditions, and that type of rejection, it can really get to you. You know what I mean? I think that like for what we do, you really have to have a passion for it, because you face a lot of rejection, a lot of moments of unsure feelings, and so I finished high school, and my parents were like, "All right, so you've done a guest star here and there. We tried this thing out, but like you still have to live a life." And so they told me, you can either book a job or you can go to school. And this was right before I had to take the SATs, and I was not trying to take.
So you were like, SATs. I gotta pick a job.
Yeah, I just like I threw it to the wall, and I did everything that I could, and I ended up like a week before the SATs, because I pushed it back. There were 2 dates you could take the SATs. There was like the early date, and then there was like the final,
So you were like...
Yeah, and so I auditioned for, that was the week that I auditioned for Arcane, and I ended up announcing on Cartoon Network. So if you ever hear Cartoon Network, coming up next on Cartoon Network, I did that. And that was my saving grace. Like, I was like, hey, look, I don't have to go to school, right? They were like, yeah, you got your $1,000 a week. And I was like, this is all I need. You know what I mean? It's crazy because that job was like, when I would tell people, they'd be like, wow, that's amazing, and it didn't feel like that, because I was so obsessed with what I thought it would be. I thought that I would get a job and be on TV, and that happened, and I'm still doing that, but it's, I think, to feed off of what they both said, it's a journey, you know, and you kind of have to be fearless about what you want. You know, you have to be fearless about what you want out of life. I mean, I said it I was in Toronto 2 weeks ago, and I thought it was funny. I was just saying, you know, do what you want to do. There are so many people in very high places that are doing exactly what they want to do, you know, with you know, no care or regard. And I think that that's how everybody should be. I think that this world does a really good job of dividing us and distracting us from being who we're called to be. And I think it's just super important that we spread this message. And I think that that's one of the beautiful things about Arcane. Like, everybody is so driven for their idea of what they want their life to look like. And I think that that's how we should all be as humans. I think that we should care for one another, and I think that we should do what we want to do, you know, and be unrelentless about that.
100%. I love that. Nice. You know, I sit and talk to so many people. I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of people over the course of how many years I've been doing this, a long time. And, you know, the entry into becoming an actor or a comedian or a musician or whatever is always different. And it can be any age. I think there's a total misconception when people think, I have to do it at 21, or I have to do it this route, go through acting school and so on. You can do it at any age, any time, right?
I remember selling frozen yogurt to John Malkovich.
Really?
Yeah, in LA.
I don't think you did.
Do you remember the flavor he got?
No, I just remember being struck with this moment where I was so outside the thing I wanted to do because I had gotten there and I was trying. And here was this person who had, you know, incredible theater accomplishments, incredible film accomplishments, walking in, and all I could say was, I hope to be on set with you someday. Exactly, yeah. That was my soul dying right there. And you're faced with this reality in this moment, and I think the more you think about, oh, I'm not there, I'm not doing the thing I want to do yet, the less time you have in your mind to just kind of enjoy the journey. I mean, you're going to not be doing the thing you want to be doing at times. Fine. Acting is something we do. It's not who we are, all three of us. It's something we do. And so you fill your life up with as much rich experience as you can and never give up on that dream.
And there's no such thing as a wasted experience. It's all valuable. It's all valuable. And sometimes the only thing that's in your way is yourself. I've been in that position, and I know we all have. And it's like, you can be your own worst enemy, so you just got to watch that and embrace everything you can, because it's a journey, man.
Yeah, no, it's
man.
I mean, it's crazy.
It's such a journey.
I knew that season 2 was coming out, but you know, my pockets were light because it's like a up and down type of journey. And so, like last summer, I did this job where I was walking up and down the streets of like Compton and Crenshaw selling phones, you know, and as much as I hated doing that, I was able to lose a lot of weight and get like abs and stuff, you know. And so I just like, I was grateful for it. And then eventually when November came around, you know, I was able to be grateful for the show coming out, you know what I mean? And I think that it's like in those moments, you know, when things aren't going exactly your way or the way that you thought they would, like you just have to remember to be grateful, like you were saying, for those, it's the little moments that sort of build the character for you to be fully who you are in the big moments, you know.
100%. The sour times always make the sweet times even sweeter.
Oh,
Also, I don't think there's going to be a season 3, so if anyone's missing a phone, see Mr. Shannon afterwards.
Yeah, we got
Sort you out.
we got whatever you need.
He's still working on those abs. So.
Yeah. That was, and now I have to like go back and start working on them again because I got a little bit too comfortable when it was a little too sweet.
So, I'm sure your abs are way more toned than mine, young man. Like,
Thank you.
What's an ab?
Yeah, exactly.
Something you haven't seen in a long time.
All right, kid, shut up.
Burn.
Oh, he'll get his later.
We're just like, no.
It went from wholesome
There's a
to like.
It's never far away, unfortunately.
We're going to get to fan questions, so let's have a round of applause for the first part of this panel. Emma. Really enjoyed this chat. It's a lovely Sunday morning vibe. I like it. You guys, there's a mic right here, and please do not be shy. Oh, yeah.
And by the way, thanks for coming out to the early one. We were like, then there's going to be no one there. No one's going to show up. So thanks for showing up, you guys.
All the questions. Any question.
Right up, my love. Okay,
I'm gonna knock into this.
You're okay. Don't just lean into the mic and say your name and question.
Yeah, hi. My name is Stephanie. Nice to see you guys again. I did have a question. So one of the things I took away the most from the show was the music. So I was wondering how much the music influenced you while you were recording or helping you get into the character, because I don't know if it's before or after, but just resonating with that.
We didn't have the soundtrack complete while we were recording.
That's fair.
Quite before that.
So, but then you're kind of looking at the raw stuff, and then when they chose the music, I was like, my God, that's exactly what this show needed. And then they kind of did like, Sting did a track? I'm like, are you kidding? I mean, that was the first band I ever saw was the Police. Yes, I'm that old. I know I don't look it. All right, easy.
Synchronicity, man.
I had a pretty unique experience when season 2 came around. Me and my fiance, we write a lot of music together, and I make music. And
he's awesome, by the way.
He's incredible.
Oh, thank you guys. The guy who does music, Mako, Alex Seaver, we connected with him, and we actually got to like sit in on some of the sessions that they were creating. And so, what was the song? Ashes to Blood. Mm-hmm. I am a voice in the children's choir because he invited us to the session, and so I got to like do stomps and whatever that weird language was. It was really cool. I mean, it's amazing the amount of work that goes into this show, and it's even more amazing when you meet the people who do these like little things to make it all come together, because everybody has just a beautiful passion about it, and I think like seeing that process, because I'm such a musical person, it made it all that more heartwarming, especially going in for the last few sessions. It was just like, man, like this is a thing. This is some art right here.
It's impossible to separate this show from its music.
Yeah.
There's something about that. Like it's not the same. One isn't the same without the other to me. Like the visuals, the music. There's so much.
And you ever hear it everywhere as well. I hear like da 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 da. I'm like,
everywhere.
it's Arcane again.
Everywhere.
Watching Arcane. No,
I walked into a hair store one time to get my girls some like hairspray or something, and as soon as we walk in, we're like, whoa, this is crazy. In the airport one time, I didn't even know they played music in the airport.
You don't realize it.
Yeah.
Because of that song.
Hallelujah.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you. Hello again. Oh, gosh, your name is escaping me, but hello again.
Davis.
Thank you.
Also, hello again to Jason. I saw you yesterday at the Spannerman panel.
I'm so sorry.
How are you?
If you look at season 1, within a 9-episode period, you go from an explosion in Piltover to an explosion in the Capitol. And then in a 9 period, you go from an explosion in the Capitol to the end of the world, if not the multiverse. How does that, like, almost exponential growth of stake, and when was the first time you realized the direction that season 2 was going and the whole, like, impact it would have on your characters?
I was dead.
So, yes, this is not playing.
Me too. Read.
I was just glad they put my boy in more episodes. It's crazy because when the first season came out and we went to the premiere, these guys were like, I was like, I love this, and I knew about the bridge fight and all of this, and I was so excited to be there. And they were like, yeah, we're just gonna like walk you in through the back, because in season 1, Ekko isn't really revealed until episode 7. And so I'm sitting there watching them like take pictures, and they built a whole red carpet, like they pretty much built Piltover on Riot Games, and I couldn't participate. And so when season 2 rolled around, I was ready, I was ready. I don't know if you guys saw pictures from the premiere, but I put on a cape. I was out there, But I think in terms of like the series and stuff, it's one of those things that like we didn't get to record together, but just going in, for me at least, going into the session and like hearing, like, you know, I would always ask like, so what, you know, what's going on? How's the world? What's happening? And just, I mean, it was like fantastical. You know, I would hear what they would say and be like, man, all right. I mean, like, that's cool. I'll do these little lines, but I can't wait to see how you pull this together. You know,
yeah,
but they.
And sometimes it's like a little secret they keep from you. They don't tell you where it's going or what's going on or how big it's going to get, you know. And so you and that's a good thing because you've got to focus on your moments and that particular scene without looking at the bigger picture often.
You can't play the end of the story.
The bigger picture is for them to understand. So you kind of, and I still don't understand why I only got 3 episodes in the season.
Oh gosh,
I'll be fine.
These guys were in episode 7, season 2, probably the best episode of the series. Like a whole revival. Like it was amazing to see you guys in that.
It's fine. I'm not bitter. So the big picture is often kind of kept away from us, and then when you see it, it's just, you know, it blows your head off. It always does. It's like, wow, how did that happen? I didn't know they were going to go there. That's extraordinary.
They can't take it any higher than they just.
This lot particularly, they just went and kept like winding it up. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you
so
again. You guys are
much.
phenomenal.
Thank you. You're phenomenal.
Hello, welcome back to another panel. I recognise the back. I like to think that you sleep like this as well. like this all weekend.
At night.
What's your name, my friend?
Thank you. My name is Will. What I love about Arcane is that it embodies the idea that art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. The show heavily depicts mental health, a father figure that teaches us about behaving better for our peers, the desire to protect our community, and ultimately someone that at the end of the day to tell us we're perfect. I'm a social worker, and when I showed Arcane to a client, she shared that her experience with bipolar disorder was almost perfectly depicted through the struggles of the characters. Given how Arcane delivers such a powerful message about emotional health, personal struggles, and ambition, what impact do you hope your characters' journeys have on viewers dealing with similar challenges?
That was a really well-written question.
By the way, this dude's awesome because we had a big conversation at my table yesterday, and you're just an awesome dude. He went through hell himself and decided to become a social worker to help other people going through hell. I don't think there's a higher calling. I think that's awesome. So you're awesome, dude.
Good on you.
The mental health aspect of this show was something that was a complete surprise to me, and I was so happy that I've had dealt with mental health illness in my family. I was so happy that they were going to address it so bravely, so unashamedly, without kind of glossing over it, without making it pretty. Because you know, Jinx is the hero, anti-hero kind of thing, and it's a risk for a company to put that on the line, and to show it in such a graphic way. You know, her little visions, her scenes, all that kind of stuff. It's so clever and sensitive, and the impact that has had is extraordinary. And I'm really grateful to be part of something like that. Again, something that doesn't really happen very often. You've got to be brave to tackle that stuff. It's hard stuff. People don't understand it. Mental illness is hard because it's not tangible. You can't see it. You can't touch it. You know, it's an illness that it is not evident to people. And so I thought, hats off to them. I thought it was an incredibly brave move that was handled in a brilliant, artistic, creative way that made sense to just about everyone. Incredible job.
A lot of people ask me what my favorite scene to record was, and it's the scene where Ekko goes back to save Jinx, because it just, like, you know, mental health kind of really peaked its head when I was in middle school, and awareness started after that. But I remember being in school and having a lot of friends who were in situations like that, and you know, I always hated that I couldn't find the words. You know, it's hard to not have the words to bring somebody out of a dark place, you know, and it's hard to see people that you love go through these things where they, you know, they feel like they don't even want to continue life anymore. And so, you know, to see that and to play it was just like, it was healing, really, you know, like finally I was able to find the words, and it's like, you know, when the show first came out, I can't even tell you the number of messages that I got. You know, I'm like feeling a little emotional about it because the number of messages I got of just people who were like, if it weren't for this show, I would not be here. And it's just, it's heartbreaking that there is not more support for people that have, you know, these obstacles. Yeah, you know, it's heartbreaking and it's heartwarming that we're able to be a part of something that has so many layers and just has so many things that people can relate to that can heal them. You know what I mean? And it just, to me, it shows that it's like one call away type of thing. You know, it's one thing away from saving lives. You know, and if we could just open our hearts up just a little bit more and bring in some of those people who feel like outcasts and feel like, you know, they don't have anybody in their corner, you know, the world would be such a better place.
It happens many times a day at every con, and it's horrifying how many young people are being affected by this. And I, you know, not to sound like an old fuddy-duddy, but I have to believe that some social media is having an effect on it. Interesting, there's some experiments now where they're banning phones in schools, and kids are pissed for about 2 weeks. And then they go, oh my God, my friends, we talk, we discuss stuff, we interact much more. I feel less alone, I feel less isolated, I feel less bullied, I feel like people know me as opposed to my persona online. And I just think there's something in that, and I think there has to be a correlation. And I'm dad of a recent teenager who's now 20, but I've always tried to teach her like that. Yeah, it's got a place, and be smart about it, and get some space from it when you need it, because it will devour you. And I think it's a crucial difference.
Yeah. I also think, yeah, please. As a father of 2 daughters, one of which is neurospicy, as a friend of mine used to say, I just love that phrase. I think it's beautiful.
That's great. I'm stealing it. It's awesome.
I love that phrase.
I'll steal that too.
Courtney Taylor, my friend.
Oh, was it? Of course.
Sorry,
That makes sense.
Playing the found father figure of someone who has an undiagnosed mental health challenge in this show, it hit very much home for me, because I think, and it may be just this country, it seems to be coming to light now that we are woefully unprepared, and we address these problems in such an inadequate way at a systematic level, be it government, be it hospital, be it police, be it whatever, to the point that we 3 have people showing up at our booths telling us that our piece of art was seminal in helping them with their mental health challenge. Shouldn't we have a government and a city and everything else that is that front line of support to truly help them? Because I can't truly help them. I'm not a therapist.
You did.
I can't truly help them. I can be there and receive their stories, but what I want for my daughter and what I want for all of us, our families and friends, is I want them to be able to have some place to turn to, where they can be guided through their own personal empowerment to solve these problems for themselves and live a fruitful life. That's what I want. As much as I love the idea that we can help people and our stories and our art call to them, there's real help that these people need, and I think we fall short too often. There's a lovely company here in Phoenix called Crisis Preparation and Recovery that I've helped from a volunteer standpoint. I've helped because they've helped members of my family. And I think our art is one thing, but it is also reflecting immediately upon us a challenge that lies before us in the real world, and I think we should meet it.
And we're too far to, yeah, well said. And we're far too busy showing off and doing silly voices to be able to do that, so. Way too busy.
As well.
Thank you. And thank you for all your hard work.
Awesome question.
Thank you. Hello, friend.
Hello.
What's your name?
Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
Wonderful being here and meeting you guys.
Yeah. That was serious.
Yeah, it's hard to follow that up. I'm like,
Tell us a
maybe I need to
joke.
rephrase that. Oh no. So I grew up playing League of Legends and delving into the lore and everything. And after seeing so many adaptations, a lot of times it feels like adaptations have just become like a cash grab. There's just no passion in it.
Yes.
And so when I first saw Arcane, or heard it announced, I was a little weary. I was like, oh no, something that I spent a lot of my life around, it's going to be adapted. Is it going to be good? And I was so thankful for the level of work and passion that everyone poured into it. It was amazing. Like from portraying Ekko as a character that just absolutely never ever gives up. Doesn't matter what happens. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep going. Silco, who is having to decide between, doing horrible things for the greater good of it all, for the people, and it's not always easy to understand that, but there's a lot of depth there. And then Vander, having to walk away from a very dangerous life to become a father, it's just amazing how these characters just developed from your portrayal. But my question actually is for you, Jason, because it's something that me and my wife debated a lot. So Silco, in your honest perspective from playing him, and hopefully it's not too much of a spoiler for anyone that might not have finished it, do you...
I die. No. I know that's not what you're gonna ask.
So, from your perspective, do you feel like the interactions that he had with Jinx came more from love or manipulation? What is your perspective?
It's a beautiful question, and I've had people come up to me and ask me, and I think that people who are worried about it being manipulative simply abdicate the circumstance that these folks are living in, right? It's sort of like they're taking their own life and circumstance and projecting it onto this one. The reason is because this is the lanes. It's going to become the nation of Zon, but it isn't at the time. And so these folks live oppressed by the people of Piltover. They grew up with nothing. Silco didn't have a mother or father, and he had a brother who eventually, they had a vision for a better place for people to live. And ended up getting betrayed, almost drowned, almost killed by the one person he probably thought he could depend on.
He never stops bringing it up, honestly.
Yada,
yada, yada, yada, yada.
Not on this panel. So if you set up that circumstance, and he has this opportunity in the moment in the alley to kill Powder, and he has this moment, he just wants to find out where Vi is, kill Powder, and then go find Vi and kill her. And that doesn't happen. Instead, she runs and she hugs him, and in that moment, he sort of sees himself, and this is my take on the character. He sees that moment of betrayal for when Vander did the same thing to him, and Powder's sister just did the same thing to her. And there's this moment. Silco wants that cycle to end, and the only means by which he has to achieve that, in his estimation, is the plan that he's laid out before himself. It involves Shimmer, it involves murder. It's a terrible, awful mistake morally, but he is convinced that that's the only way to truly bring it about, because the other way, being a lapdog to them, doesn't work. So now if you imagine that he has a daughter in this circumstance, what are the choices? To just say to that person, you have incredible talent, honey, why don't you go sit in the corner while daddy handles all this? Is that a better father figure? Or someone who says, I'd like you to use your talents to help me achieve this thing that will ultimately be better for you.
It's amazing.
What would you do? What would you pick? And he's also a broken man, and he also has, complicated mental issues himself. And in the end, he absolutely loves Jinx. And is he using her for the goal? Yes, because if I said to my daughter, hey, we need to fix this car because I need to take you somewhere so that you won't get killed in these drive-by shootings, I'd want her to help me work on the car, wouldn't I? Wouldn't I? I would. That would be the thing that you would want a good father to do.
Pass me that wrench.
So he's not using her in the traditional sense that we say to be used and discarded. He says, I never would have given you to them, not for anything. Who's he saying? For whose benefit is he saying that? There's no one in the freaking room.
Right.
So yes, in a way, he is using her to solve a problem that will ultimately benefit her. And he does it in a broken way because he's a broken man.
Thank you. That was beautifully answered.
Thank you. We're kind of running out of time, but we can do a speed round if we want. Because I want to get through all of you. Okay, so let's go. Name and question.
All right, hi, my name is Darren. This question kind of sucks as a follow-up to all those really good ones. But it's specifically...
What's your favorite color?
No, it's specifically for Reed. I love what you did with Ekko. It was great. But the whole time I couldn't help but think, man, this guy's perfect for Miles. And I was wondering if you ever did portray him, would you like to?
I've never heard that before. Have you? I've never heard that.
No. Yeah.
And would you rather portray him through voice acting, or is it something you'd like to try in live action more?
Yeah. I don't want to take anybody's job, but I would love to play live action Miles. I think that would be like really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
I'd love to be at the callback with you and Najee. I would love to be at that callback, man. They are both wickedly talented young men. And there's no way, man. That would just be the best thing to watch.
It's funny. I
no bad answer there.
I saw somebody on Twitter was like, bro, this guy is the only person to get the most clout off of Spider-Man who's never been Spider-Man. You guys know he was Spider-Man.
No, I wasn't. I was never Spider-Man.
You're Spider-Man in my heart.
Oh. It was the one role.
I don't got a bucket.
I always wanted to play Peter Parker. I just haven't got a chance.
Thank you.
If Yuri can do it, I can do it.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Sean. I appreciate you guys being here. What was your favorite interaction or dialogue you had between your character and another character in Arcane? That's a question to all of you.
Can we pretend like it's the first time? I thought that was such a beautiful moment.
I think talking to Vi about leadership was pretty special. And then the letter that I wrote to Silco was actually weirdly moving. I didn't expect it, and it was. Because I think we've all got to be accountable, and if you're wrong, you're wrong.
Yeah, and I think telling somebody when you know that you are an imperfect person and looking at them, especially if you have a father-daughter relationship with them. I know I've messed up with my kids time to time. I mean, no parent is perfect. I've done things that I'm like, oh man, honey, I'm so sorry, you know. And telling someone who isn't sure about themselves that they're perfect, I think goes a really long way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, you look amazing.
Thank you.
What's your name?
I'm Kay. I was here yesterday for the Spider-Man panel. I have a question for both you two, for Ekko and Vander. I already asked you because I got your signature. What's your favorite line you ever did as your character in Arcane?
I mean, there's so many good ones, but I mean, there's something just because Vander was a balance, like he's this big guy, violent past, but the way he asserts himself is so gentle now. Let me give you a piece of advice: don't threaten the guy who pours the drinks.
Good answer.
It's a fun one.
Yeah, somebody just reminded me of this line. I forgot the line where he's saying, "If a single seed could make it down here, so could we." I just thought that was such a beautiful sequence, like seeing, you know, after you see the problems between Piltover and Zahn, and then you go just a little bit deeper and you see this like beautiful tree and this beautiful community. I don't know, I really loved that moment.
And I will add that I think a line that they gave Silco in season 2 is so important. I think the power to forgive is like such a big deal amongst human beings.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hello, what's your name and question?
Hello, I'm very
You're
close
good,
to the
you're
mic.
good, don't worry.
I'm Thalia. My question is, Arcane Season 2 is the highest rated by critics. Did not get below a 9 for every single episode, therefore beating out Breaking Bad, which is considered...
Take that, JP.
to be the greatest show of all time. How does that make y'all feel to know that something that you were a part of is now...
The fact that I got to work with a guy who's on both of those.
I know, right? Like, he's a legend. Super legend.
I feel pretty important.
I mean, there's nothing you can say to that. It's breathtaking. It's amazing.
You're only getting better.
Do you know what? But I love the fact that it was such a collaborative piece of art because it involved artists as well as actors to actually show you what's going to be on the screen. That, I mean, a piece of animation is a much more collaborative art together.
And here's what I'll say, which is these guys were particularly careful to understand their audience, and that understand the audience that were League of Legends fans, that weren't League of Legends fans, that never played a video game in their life. You don't have to know anything about anything to love this show. There are very few shows that can do that and pull that off. And I think that the care and attention they took to that, because I was like, you know, I've been in League for, God, I don't know, 12 years, 15 years. We were at the premiere, and they're showing that there's like, you know, she takes something out of her pocket, or she's picked something up. The whole audience goes bananas, and I'm like, what the hell are they? What are they talking about? I didn't understand any of the Easter eggs that they'd laced through the whole show. But the fact that they took the care and attention, and you think, well, that's easy. No, that's an object being designed to fit then into the animation scheme. It takes a lot of effort to do that. And so I've never worked on anything where they took so much care and attention to understand their audience, know who they were delivering it to, give something for everyone. And I think that's why I think it's so highly rated.
And fill every corner of every frame with that kind of thing.
And you can keep watching it. You see new stuff all the time. It's like, what?
It's such a love.
It makes me nervous because I'm at the beginning of my career.
It's all downhill from
how
here,
am I
baby.
ever supposed to
That's it.
grow?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've run out of time, but I want to get through the. Are you okay to get through these last two? Okay, come on, my love.
Hi, I'm Bly. You've seen me several times now. So I was gonna ask, has there been like any particular scenes that have been hard for you guys to record, like emotionally, mentally, all of that?
I'll go first, and it's the silliest one. I've said it a bunch of times. There's this line that he says when they come in, the kids come into the warehouse where Vander is trapped and drawing the kids in. And he says, "Hello." It's the strangest thing for Silco to say hello. And I think I did it like 9 times. And I was like, is that what you guys wanted this to sound like? Is one of these choices? It just felt so awkward at the time. But anyway, silly.
I was very honored that they asked me to do all the creature work for Warwick as well, which was awesome. So get to do that monster, and then
Didn't he do a phenomenal job?
Yes.
It was incredibly vocally stressful, and JB absolutely crushed it.
How much?
$25.
Jesus. Again? It's putting a creature together is actually quite complicated, and it's quite hard. And you know how wet is the mouth of the creature, and how crazy all that detail goes into it. But then to have to, as Warwick, say powder, or with a bit of Vander in there, and kind of find that balance and mix. I don't know how many takes we did, but there were a hell of a lot of them. And then when we hit the one, I was like, it's that one, and everyone went, yeah, it's that one. But it took a long time to find it, and a few sessions actually. I kept coming back and doing them because we built the voice of the creature gradually.
I think it wasn't anything in particular, but my last session that I ever went in to do, we were just filling in some of the small pieces in like that last battle where Ekko threw the thing at Victor and all of that. Right before I walked in, it was like a normal day. Right before I walked in, my nose just started bleeding, like profusely. Oh. I don't know what happened. I think my body was just like, like, let's give it our all. And I was going a little I was too excited or something like that. But
I think you were punched in the face by your own sheer talent.
Oh, you think? It could have been that. It might have been that.
I want that on a t-shirt. I've been punched in the face by my talent. Give it to you for Christmas.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for waiting, my friend. And thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Alex. I just wanted to ask, I think that a lot of the best performances, no matter where you are in front of the production, in front of the camera, behind it, whatever, the actors put a piece of themselves into the performance, and I was wondering what particular line or a scene where you felt the most of yourself come forward into the character, into that.
All of Ekko is who I am, truly. You know, like just quickly to piggyback off of what I was saying earlier, and like trying to figure out the type of man that I want to be. I feel like people that look like me, they get a hard rap in society, and we kind of are conditioned to believe that we need to be aggressive and be intimidating to just have any type of empowerment in our lives. And my dad, he's a real gentle guy, and so therefore I am as well. And so like it was freeing and healing to be able to play a leader who was not aggressive. He's aggressive when he has to be, obviously, and that's great, but the truth of who Ekko is he's a gentle person. He wants everybody to survive and thrive, and it's nice to know that a character like that exists, and it's even cooler that I get to play him.
It's an honor because you come in and you do your first session, and then you can see ideas being sparked off in Christian and Alex, and they said to me that what I brought to the table helped them mold who Vander became. They had an idea or a concept. But that again, very rare that you get to really play something that close. I am a single dad of a teenage girl. There was a huge amount of emotion in there for me. I came from a fairly violent background, and so there were lots of correlations. It's kind of spooky when that happens, but I don't necessarily think that's by accident. That baby is drunk. I'm going to report it to the police. It's clearly out of control, and is actually starting to get a little
Pull
frisky.
it together, Melody!
Why did you put that in the milk?
Literally, that kid is hammered right now. Look at it. It's absolutely.
Mother, and now I feel like I can't anymore.
Melody's having a great time.
He seems to be. I'm telling you, yeah.
How was that gonna be like that?
You were last
Me
night.
last night.
He was.
I don't drink stuff.
No, he doesn't drink. He doesn't drink. So yeah, I mean it's kind of lightning in a bottle when that happens, or shimmer in a bottle when that happens. It's kind of magical,
And in my case,
You're a weirdo.
I'm done. Yeah. No, I feel like that Silco's, there's a way that he has of moving through life that I felt more at peace with when I began to play the character. So I think there was an element of me that was less present in my daily life that was brought out through playing this person, which is kind of interesting. And it's not that I felt that
He'll be done in a minute. Don't worry.
I was comfortable in that place, probably in private and probably amongst people I loved and cared about. But there was just this extra sense of I don't know, just letting things be kind of as they are, the way that he has this sort of quiet power that I seem to inhabit more of since I've played the role, which I find very interesting.
And the other thing I find crazy is that we played those roles together, me and him. We both have had difficult past, difficult marriages, difficult aspects with our kids, kids who have been in trouble. That, and the more we've got to know each other, the more we've kind of gone, how crazy is it that we were in this show together playing these characters?
Yeah.
Kind of amazing.
Yeah, in like a brotherly situation. Like
art does imitate life.
Yeah, it's true. Even like with Ekko and Heimerdinger, Mick Wingert, the great Mick Wingert, he was the one who taught me how to voice act. Like years before Arcane was ever like either of us. He teaches, and when I booked Cartoon Network, I was a little lazy with it, and Cartoon Network was like, "Yeah, we're gonna."
Great young man.
Yeah, but it was. I mean, it was just crazy. Like it really, art really does imitate life.
It's a lesson in life as well, because be nice to everyone. You never know who they're going to be the next day. So it's like it's really true.
I think to be affected by your art as much to affect other people as your art is just kind of sings to what it is that we do. I don't think that every role I've ever played has also contributed to who I am today, and I think Silco contributes to who I am as well.
And we are damn lucky to be able to do it. It's a privilege, it really is. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you guys for your support. You're awesome.
Thank you guys. Thank you. These guys are going to be at their tables to the end of the day. Yes.
Be at our table.
Come and say hi.
So please go say hi. Please give it on up for these wonderful, wonderful folks right here. Come on. Yes, Reed, Jason, and JB.
Thank you.